Hey, Buff Nation, voice of the Bus, Mark Johnson here at the Champion Center ahead of the spring game. I think you know who this guy is. It almost doesn't need an introduction, right? Kordell Stewart, one of the greats of all time. Great to see you, number one. And the energy, and we'll talk about Coach Prime, but the energy around his program now and all you players coming back, I mean, it's like a reunion around here from all the last 3 or 4 decades this weekend.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Mark. But here's the thing. When you have players that went through the tough times early on to the early 80s with the baby blue and gold, to transitioning over into Coach Mag to the black and gold, to then finding ways to win, and then finding a formula to get players to come here from so many different places. We know how unique Boulder is. Culturally, it's phenomenal. But when you have kids come from other places, they have to be able to see things in more of a identifiable way that allow them to feel comfortable, if that makes sense. And to see all these guys coming back, you get a chance to see all of the different personalities from their different communities, whether it's Pennsylvania, whether it's Florida, whether it's Minnesota with Steve Roscoe, who we know is going to come back, our safety we had back in 94, 95. To guys coming from Louisiana, coming from Texas, coming from California, New Mexico, people like Darius Holland. That's what this thing is about. And those guys were part of the building process and the foundation of this program that was about winning. And that's all Coach Prime wants to do, is get those guys to come back, to teach these young men what it's about to win, understand what it's about to win, and know that they have the support. And when doing that, I mean, the program have no opportunity but go up.
You and I were talking earlier, and I said, with Coach Prime getting here, it was like a tsunami hit town. You've known him for a long time. You guys played against each other, Super Bowl 30. You were both great athletes at a very high level. You admired him. Then you became friends with him. You're very tight with him. He gave you a call when he was thinking about this. Tell us something about Deion Coach Prime Sanders and why you believe this is a great fit and why he's going to be ultra successful here.
Well, his passion and will not be denied. You don't play for a team in football to go then catch a flight, play in a World Series, and then come back and play on that same day and catch an interception and take it back to the house because you're just a good-looking guy. Okay, he's exceptional when it comes to allowing you to see his vision. Some don't articulate it either well or at all. But he articulated. Now, how you receive it is up to you.
Sure.
But he tells you exactly what it is. Now, if you don't help him, he's going to show you what he's talking about, which means he will not be denied. And that's what he's been able to do throughout his entire career. And it won't stop here in Boulder. Yeah. And I think he probably came in here and everyone probably thought when he was saying what he was saying, it was just conversation. And I think as you see it, we spoke about it, as you've seen it, everyone else had the opportunity to see it, you understand that it's really real. And it doesn't take a first snap to identify it, because when you're building a house, right, when you locate the property, you knock the trees down. You're like, ooh, we got some progress, right? You put the stakes down, and all of a sudden the bobcats come in and you move the dirt. You're like, honey, we're on our way. Then you lay down the foundation, run the pipes, all that good stuff, and the sheetrock and the framework comes up and the shingle go on the roof or slate or whatever. And before you know it, but no one's saying, I'm not going to be happy until I see the kitchen. No one's everybody's like so elated about the process and the progress to the point where you're just enamored and excited about the opportunity in the rebuilding phase. That's what we have going on in this program.
You know, you were around Bill McCartney, and you and I were talking about this earlier. I don't know if you're a dynamic personality, great leader, I don't care what generation, what decade you're in, you can be impactful. Now, you played for Bill McCartney. You know Deion Sanders. You see some similarities. Circumstances have changed. Times have changed. You see similarities from a personality standpoint, don't you?
100%. Two guys who are faith-based. You know, they're faith-based to knowing talent when they see it and having the right staff around them to go get that talent. Mac was more reserved, spiritual, a leader of men. Prime, outwardly spiritual, outwardly leader of men. And he's a changer, a game changer when it comes to how your mind operates. And he's going to poke you until you figure out who you are. Because if you're here with him, you're here with him for a reason. And that goes for everybody on the staff. And that's going to go for everybody in this program. Because it's if you think about the Alabamas, you don't think that program, top to bottom, is number one in the country for a reason?
Sure.
There's a standard that has to be put in place. And if the people around don't believe in it, they can screw it up somewhere. You have to represent what he's thinking about, as they had to do with Mac, to the point where to be here, you had to understand him and his way. That's why he was so successful.
Lastly here, and we appreciate the time, Kordell. You saw this, and you intimately knowing this program, you've understood this for a long time. In my role as the voice of the Buffs, I felt it. When this thing was great and began to tail off here in the last 20 years, the expectations fell. There was just I don't know how you want to say it, a malaise that kind of fell over this program. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things with Coach Prime coming in here. He's got to change, doesn't he? He's got to energize all of that and raise all boats, if you will.
Well, he can only control what he can control.
Yeah.
Speak about things to the masses to help them understand what we need, but that's not going to stop him from doing his job. And those around him understand that. So if there is an ask, don't wait. Because then the ask may turn into double ask, because it becomes I told you so. Right? No one thought this action that's taking place around this institution would be this. This is a one-off. No one has ever moved a program like this guy has moved this program. Yeah. And for someone thinking this conversation is a hoax, just look at the numbers. And we haven't taken a snap. So, he's very demanding because he knows his name is on it. Because he didn't have to do this, right? Yep. This is just what he's been aligned and called to do. But in his own person, he doesn't, quote unquote, need this. But he knows how important it is to do it. And I think his approach is second to none. And yes, the program's going to be all right. Just keep him here for a little. They're gonna figure it out. Trust me. If they don't know yet, they'll figure it out real soon. I promise you that. Because everybody sees what it is. They just want to see that first snap or two. And I think that's going to be too late.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm as excited as anybody. Brother, always good to see you.
Always good to see you, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One of the greats in Colorado history, Kordell Stewart, good friend of Coach Prime. He's as excited as anybody to get this season underway.